Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's all the same to me right now. The minister will make a brief statement, and then we'll take calls. And you want to go ahead?
Thanks, Marianne. Thanks, everybody, for coming this afternoon. I'm sorry for being late. I was just in the House. They were doing a second reading on the appropriation bill, which passed. But this I'm here to talk to you, of course, about an act to restore fairness in public revenues. It's an honor to stand before you all today. On May 5th, Albertans voted for change. They voted to create jobs in a diversified 21st century economy, and they voted to rebalance government revenues to make them more fair. Albertans gave this government a strong mandate to act on its promises. That was to ask top income earners to pay a little bit more for the betterment of all, and to ask corporations who benefited the most during stronger economic times to contribute fairly to rebuild our province. These changes will return Alberta to a stable tax system with a steady revenue stream to support our public services. That's the fair thing to do, and it's what Albertans elected us to do. Throughout the election, we said that there was a better way. We echoed the sentiments uttered by former Premier Peter Lougheed, who said in May 2011 that it's time for us to consider an increase to corporate and personal taxes. Sadly, he passed in September 2012. But today, this government is making good in its commitment. Moments ago, actually several moments ago, I introduced in the legislature an act to restore fairness to public revenues. I'm proud to have brought that act forward. It's Bill 2, and it fulfills a key platform commitment of this government. It ensures every Albertan pays their fair share, and it maintains Alberta's competitiveness as the best place to do business in Canada. So the bill, if passed, when passed, will increase corporate taxes from 10% to 12% effective July 1. Even with this new rate, Alberta will maintain an overall competitive advantage when compared to other provinces with no sales tax, no healthcare premiums, and the lowest fuel tax in Canada. We'll work closely with businesses of every size to promote jobs and economic prosperity. The small business tax rate will remain unchanged at 3%. The bill will also change personal income taxes in Alberta, and it'll make it more fair and progressive. This is what Albertans elected us to do in May, and this is what we're delivering on today. Effective October 1, 2015, we will have 5 tax brackets. Those will be for incomes of $125,000. Those with incomes of $125,000 or less will see no change to their current 10% tax rate. There will be new progressive tax rates for those earning over $125,000, with the highest rate of 15%, affecting those with taxable incomes over $300,000. Meanwhile, our earnings exemptions remains the highest in the country. Those who can afford to contribute a little bit more to our public services will help reinvest in our hospitals, schools, communities, and the quality of life in Alberta. As this is being said, Alberta will remain the lowest taxed province in Canada. Our province will continue to be a great place to do business, and as the Premier has made clear, in the coming budget, we will outline new initiatives to build and diversify our economy. I'm also very proud to announce that we are cutting a number of fees imposed on Albertans by the last government. These unfair fees that made it harder for families to make ends meet are not going to be followed through with. We're scrapping the healthcare levy, which will potentially cost high-earning taxpayers up to $1,000 each. We promised to scrap that tax, and we're going to do it. It was a key platform commitment, and we're making good on that promise today. We're also scrapping increases on other fees that the Premier committed to during the campaign, and she said they would not go up. And just to say that the Minister of Service, Alberta, is very, very happy that I'm telling you these fees will not go up. So the people who are calling his office can hopefully get this message through you guys that these fees will not go up. So vehicle license and registrations will not go up. Land title searches and mortgages will not go up. Marriage licenses, birth certificates, and death certificates will not go up. In all, we're responsibly finding ways to save Albertans money while ensuring that all families have access to important services they need, like healthcare, education, and social services. Thank you. That's my information in the statement, and I'm prepared to answer questions.
Sir, why move so quickly on this? I mean, presumably businesses and families as well have already sort of set their budgets for the year. Concerned that you might throw those out of whack.
Yeah. Well, we're sensitive to that, of course, but we have given pretty ample notice from this being originally in the platform of the Alberta NDP and then making its way into the campaign promises platform. So people have had, and businesses have had several months' notice that should we be successful, we're going to move on our promises. And we just think that's in the best interest of Alberta. We think it's promises made, promises kept, and we'll continue to do that through the course of our mandate.
You talked about this restores fairness to our tax structure and more sustainable. How much money is this going to generate for the government, these changes?
For the tax increases, economic forecasts, and I should say there are some economists in the room with me here, and if you want to get into the technical questions, this is not one of them, but if you want to get into technical questions, they can support and assist with that. But economic forecasts vary, but we estimate that it's going that in this 2015-2016 fiscal year, balancing these taxes out will put between 600 and 800 million back into Alberta's treasuries.
So that'd be a half year then, so next year would be between 1.2 and 1.6 billion then, if it all stays equal?
I just need to correct you a little bit. The fiscal year will end at the end of March 31st.
So yeah, so that would be about a half, when say the personal taxes take effect in October, that'd be about half the year.
For them.
So the next year would
For the
be-
corporate,
for the
it's a little
corporate,
longer.
okay. So what are we looking at? This would be between 1 and 1.5 billion over a full year then?
So for this fiscal, well, it's going to be higher. I don't have that number, but it is higher.
Can we
PCs
get that
of-
number?
Sorry?
Can we
Yes,
get
we'll get
that
that
we
number?
Okay, we have that number.
Can you
So
tell
the
us
PCs have
why,
said that, oh, sorry, go ahead, Darcy.
Go ahead.
can you tell us why you decided not to move on the 3% small business tax?
Yeah, we have never thought about moving on that business tax. We see small business, as many parties do, as an economic generator for jobs. They're a job creator. We're wanting to keep an advantage for small businesses and not add to their costs. So that's the reason that we want to keep them stable and whole. We're talking about up to $500,000. Over that amount, then they would be taxed at the 12% rate, or the money earned after $500,000 would be taxed at the 12% rate.
Didn't consider eliminating or reducing that tax like some other provinces have?
No, we haven't. We want to maintain what is currently in place. You know, as a finance minister, I want to see money come into the place. I don't want to give a great deal back, but if my cabinet colleagues can convince me that there's a good return for doing those kinds of things, I would consider it.
PCs have said, Minister, you're gonna lose money anyway, because they're saying.
Sorry?
The PCs have been saying that you're gonna lose money anyway, because some of these top tax filers will file somewhere else, they'll live somewhere else. Is there any merit to that argument? Has there ever been any research that shows that, or is this anecdotal, or?
You know, what the PCs say is,
Have you ever found any research that shows that once you start hiking this up, it's actually, there is a net?
well, maybe that's a technical question. There probably is some research that says some things about that, but I don't think we're, you know, when we've come up with these numbers, we've considered those kinds of situations, or those assumptions are built into these numbers. So we're confident in the numbers before us. And for the next fiscal year, we'll, as you mentioned, we'll even earn more through these taxes. And I think that begins to put us on a fiscal basis that we can count on the revenue instead of the swings and volatile nature of the resources that we've counted on in the past. So for my perspective as the finance minister, I'm happier to see this come in because it's going forward. We can count on it. It'll be there. We can plan instead of the vagaries of the previous systems.
How will it help cover the
Just take one more question, and then we'll go to Calgary.
How will it help cover the $624 million with the interim supply bill? Will it kick in? Just explain the timelines.
Sure. So your question is, the spending we've announced in the interim supply bill, will it
Yes.
come out of this money?
Yes.
Not necessarily. I mean, the money that we're going to be collecting does help us out. We still have to do a budget in the fall, and once we do that budget, we'll have a clear indication of where we're drawing funds from if we need to address the increased spending.
You say not necessarily though, but these taxes don't kick in one case until October 1st, so can it even
No.
possibly help?
I'm sorry, just the corporate, maybe I didn't
Yeah.
make that totally clear. It kicks in July 1, so we'll start collecting those in a few weeks.
And will that, from July until October, will there be enough money collected from those corporate taxes to cover the 624?
No, that's, the dates are important because they start a different tax regime in this province. We are going to be collecting till the end of the fiscal year $600 to $800 million, as I've said. We'll use some of those monies, I gather, for paying off these expenses that we've incurred, but others will just have to look at through the budget. And as a finance minister, I'll be looking to my ministry colleagues to address some of these other expenditures that maybe they can move around and other things.
Okay, we'll just take some calls from Calgary. Operator, are there any calls on line?
Yes, at this time I'd like to remind everyone that in order to ask a question by phone, you must dial *1. Your first question comes from the line of Rick Bell with the Calgary Sun. Your line is now open.
Good afternoon. On the new personal income tax rates, it says changes will begin to be implemented on October 1st, 2015. Does that mean that's when you're going to start collecting on this new tax system?
Yeah, Rick, it does.
And the second question is, I know you said there's between 600 and 800 million. I just want to be clear, in 2015-16, that's from both of these taxes, correct?
That's correct. That's a rolled up number.
Okay, thanks very much.
It's
Oh, the other thing quickly, is it 682 million or 624 million? As far as the amount that the government is spending in new money?
I don't have those totals with me, Rick, but we are reducing fees too, if you want to know about that. We're going to lose $396 million for healthcare. Motor vehicles, we're not going to collect $7.7 million for the fiscal year. And land titles, we're not going to collect $195 million for the fiscal year. So there are reductions on the other side that Albertans will enjoy.
Thank you.
That $396 million, so that's what you would have got?
That's the levy, yeah.
Premium?
That's the unfair healthcare tax.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next question from the phones.
Your next question by phone comes from the line of Rick Dalton with Insight into Government. Your line is now open.
Hello, Minister.
Hi, Rick.
Looking at the amount of money that extra money that will be collected, 600 to 800 million, and looking at the money that you're adding in terms of spending, it would seem that the deficit for the year is going to increase by $1 million or two, or $1 billion or $2. Is that fair to say?
No, I don't think so. What's fair to say is that our original estimates for the deficit that were in our campaign platform is what we're going to stick to roughly. We'll know further information when the fall budget preparation starts to get started up in earnest. So I wouldn't say that's what I would agree with anyway.
Also, how many people will be affected by the progressive income tax? How many people over 125,000 a year will be paying more taxes?
The number, I'm just looking to the economist, but the number that I've been kind of bantered around to me is about 7% of tax filers will be impacted by this return to progressivity in our taxes. So 7% of higher end tax filers are going to be impacted. You know, they probably maybe don't, all of them won't think that's a great trade-off, but they're doing pretty well. And we all, I think it's fair to pay a little bit more if you're doing really successfully in this province.
And finally, in terms of the fees, I take it the increases to the gasoline tax, the tobacco, and the alcohol tax are going to remain in place, right, from the previous administration?
Yes, those are going to be remaining in place. There are three major buckets that aren't going to be remaining in place. The healthcare, motor vehicles, and land titles are all coming out. The ones that have been put in as of, some were put in March 27th and some were put in May, and those are staying. But so, you know, on balance, there's a lot of savings for families.
Minister, we're seeing a growing number of EI claimants in Alberta.
Yeah, I heard that question.
Are you going to be do you intend to move on your job creation tax credit in the fall budget, and will you be able to afford to move on that tax credit?
I'm not insensitive to the economy and the effect on individuals and families in this province. I can't tell you today that what the full scope of the job creators tax credit will be. The minister may have, the premier may have a lot more ideas on that, but we've really just been running for 24 days and running pretty quickly. And today we brought in a pretty major act to restore the name of the act is not on the tip of my tongue right yet. An act to restore fairness in public revenues. Thank you for somebody who tried to help me out. So we're doing a lot of work, and we'll have a lot of work to do over the next week in the House. I'll have to take it under advisement to talk to the Premier about this job creators tax credit. It's not been on my radar.
We'll just take one more question.
Mr. Noel Rose has said that you're putting the cart before the horse. You need to do some due diligence first. See if you can find some savings within the system before you start asking Albertans for more money.
You know, that's what the full budget review process is. That's an opportunity to ask ministers and their department officials to give us the best information they have about are they as efficient as they need to be? Do we have some savings that we can create? And are there programs that we're not going to continue with? I think the latter is quite possible. I don't have a full indication of what those are for you, but I would say stay tuned.
But should you do that then? Should Albertans perhaps, if you find some savings, maybe we'll roll back some taxes, or is that in the realm of possibility?
No, I want to bring these taxes in for the fact that since 2001 they've been flat, and it's not been a progressive system. Every province and territory in this country has a progressive tax system, save for Alberta, and within a week's time, we're going to make a difference.
Last question to the Globe.
Government used to talk about the Alberta Advantage.
Yeah.
Is that labeled dead?
No, it's a new Orange Day, and there's an advantage for people in this province if they want to be here. People know that we're more than beautiful mountains and trees and things like that. We have great quality of life, and we can do better on the quality of life for our lowest income earners, and we're going to do some of that too. But it's a new Alberta Advantage, perhaps. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And if anybody has any technical questions,